This semester we're going to cover a lot of different theories. And as we cover those different theories, I'm going to ask you to look at each theory and say, would this theory work for me in its most pure form, just as it is, without any modifications? Like, can I use just this theory? Or is there some piece of this theory I think I could use, but there are other pieces that I think would not be a good fit for me, for my style or my personal system of beliefs or how I function as a counselor? These pieces might not fit. Or, and as we go along, as you learn about different theories, I'll ask you to start thinking like, so will these pieces of this theory fit with these pieces of this theory, and this is really how I see my style. This is an integrated approach. With an integrated approach, what you want is to make sure you have a very clear professional process of integration. It's not just that you use different pieces of theories willy-nilly. That is not how it works. It's a professional approach that requires intentionality and focus. We're going to cover some different approaches. Then at the end of the semester, when you present your theoretical conceptual model, if you're utilizing an integrated approach, it's important that you be able to articulate which approach you're using. So we're going to cover some of those approaches, and we're going to talk about the 4 that we'll use in this class today. So one approach to forming to integration, we've got a lot of different approaches, right? Some people will just say, well, I use an eclectic approach or an integrative approach, very broadly, like eclectic or integrative. But those general descriptions just do not stand up in court. It cannot be that you just use whatever you think works at any one time without any intentionality. You are a professional counselor and you're addressing really critical needs with your clients, right, and your students. So you have to have a clearly articulated professional approach that's based in theory and founded in the professional support and discourse around that theory. Right? So if you choose to use more than one theory in your approach, you got to have this professional technical approach to integration. And the 4 that we're going to cover, the 4 that we utilize in this class, are common factors, technical eclecticism, assimilative integration, and accommodative integration. The first approach, the common factors approach. This approach searches for common elements across different theoretical systems. So no matter what kind of counseling you practice, these common factors are always present. So when you look at a multitude of theories and you find some factors really resonate with you, and those are absolutely critical, and this theory has them, and this theory has them, and this theory has them, and as you pull those together, those form the common factors for your approach, and those are the theories that you utilize in your approach. So regardless of terminology, even if it's called something different from one theory to the other, those common factors, those are what are critical. This starts by as a professional, you attempt to identify the specific effective ingredients of any group of therapies. What do you believe is absolutely critical for good clinical practice as a counselor? And then you explore the ways that particular interventions or psychotherapeutic interactions promote and contain those ingredients. Like, what matters the most? What are those critical elements that have to be there? And which interventions or interactions have those ingredients? So the goal for you as a counselor, if you're using a common factors approach, is to maximize your client's exposure to that unique combination of therapeutic factors that best address their presenting concern. So for you as a counselor, if you believe that these elements are absolutely critical for any counseling, then which theories have those and how do they fit? And then how have you pulled those together into a cohesive approach that highlights those critical common factors? The second approach, technical eclecticism. In technical eclecticism, you select a combination of techniques that are appropriate for your counselor, right? So those techniques or interventions, they have to be drawn for 2 or more psychotherapeutic systems. And those techniques and interventions are applied systemically and sequentially with intention and focus. But with every single client, you say, what does this client need? And which techniques fit with this client? And how can I articulate why I'm using those techniques? What's my professional basis for utilizing those techniques in session? A third approach, the assimilative integration approach. Okay, in this one, you have a commitment to one theory. There's one theoretical approach that you see as your core approach. But then you pull in techniques from other therapeutic approaches. So as you're going along, if you find one theory that really clearly resonates with you, but you think you want to supplement it with techniques from other theories, then that is perfectly appropriate. You've got 2 ways of doing that: assimilative integration or accommodative integration. We're going to assimilative first. This one favors that firm grounding in one system, but as you pull the other ones in, they get pulled in, and it is not your primary overarching theory is not qualitatively different because you pull in these other pieces. Right? So with this, you have that firm grounding in your system, in your theory, and then you pull in elements from the other theories into yours without changing your primary theory. So if you have a core approach that is based in, I'm not going to go into any one theory tonight because we haven't gotten to our theories yet. We're just going to be moving into those soon. So with that, if you have a core theory that this is your primary theory and you think it is supplemented but not qualitatively changed by pulling these other techniques or elements from other theories, then that would be an assimilative integration approach. Now, accommodative integration, that's when you have your one primary theory, like that's your core theory, and it is the one that is essential to you. But you supplement it and you enhance it by pulling in elements from other theories. But as you do that, that core theory is qualitatively different. It doesn't look exactly like itself. You couldn't pull those techniques out that you added in, or those interventions or components, qualities that you added in from these other theories. If you pulled those out, your core theory would be different. It would be changed by having pulled those other ones in initially. Okay? So if you have if you use person-centered theory as your primary core theoretical framework, like that's your core, but then you pull in very directive techniques from cognitive behavioral or from purely behavioral counseling into that approach, then that person-centered theory, that's qualitatively different because you've pulled those in. That theory is changed in such a way that it is enhanced and improved according to you. You think this enhances and improves it, but it definitely is qualitatively different than if you used it in its very most pure form by itself. That's an accommodative integration approach. Now, as you go through these theories, you're going to see some will resonate with you, some will not. Some you will rule out immediately, but some you'll feel, this one really hits for me. Like, I believe this part is a really good fit for how I see the world. When you do that, when you see those, start thinking like, is it a good fit in its most pure form? Do you need anything else, or is that it for you? If you think you need something a little more, if this piece is missing, or that piece is missing, or this piece could be improved by adding this piece from another theory, then start to think how you're going to pull those together. And if you're starting to pull those together, as you start to pull those together, what you'll see is that one of these integration approaches really emerges, and it becomes much more clear that this is the approach you're utilizing. So as we review those different theories, some specific questions to ask yourself. Please, please, please keep the slide and ask yourself these questions as we go along. Let's see that I was trying to get it to slide down just a little bit so I can make sure you see the bottom of this one. But as we go along, these are the questions you really need to ask yourself. One, like, do I align with these theoretical components enough for it to be the sole theory that I will always use with all clients? Like, is this enough in its most pure form? Will it work for you in its most pure form? If so, that's great. There's your theory. Then say, well, but if your answer there is no, then you say, well, do I align enough with these components for it to be my umbrella or overarching theory? Can it be my core theory, but I think I need to pull in some other pieces? And if that's the truth, then when I pull in these other pieces, does it qualitatively change my core theory, or does it does it really stay its most strong form, so I can really see it there in its strong form? And then, are there parts of this theory that I just do not agree with at all? Right? Are there some parts you just do not agree with at all? And how do I see this theory fitting with other theories that I've found congruent with my philosophy thus far? Right now, you haven't learned any of the different theories, okay? But as we cover each theory, I want you to ask yourself, how does it fit for me? And then go through these questions and see, like, how does it fit? And how do you see your theoretical framework shaping up? This is a process. It is not something that you come to overnight, and we will certainly work on it together. And we're going to discuss it every week. Every week in class, you're going to consider this. This class is not just about learning the core pieces, elements of theory so you can do well on your national exams and you can understand the different theories that form our profession. It's about deciding which theory fits for you in your clinical practice, which fits for you in your style of counseling. And we're going to work on that and the different integration approaches over the course of the entire semester. Thank you.